I never planned to become the loudest voice on a plane full of strangers, especially not at 7 years old. But life doesn't ask for permission before it tests you. And sometimes it puts you in a moment where staying quiet would mean losing everything that matters. That flight taught me that being small doesn't mean being powerless, and being underestimated can be the most dangerous mistake someone else makes. It started like one of those trips you barely remember later: early morning airport lights, the smell of coffee rolling, suitcases bumping into ankles. My mom and I were flying overseas for a family celebration. She'd been working non-stop for years, climbing ladders, breaking ceilings, always carrying herself with this calm confidence that made adults listen. To me, she was just Mom, warm, steady, the person who made the world feel safe. That morning, she squeezed my hand and said this trip was going to be special: real rest, real family, real laughter. I believed her. I always did. On the plane, everything felt normal at first. I pressed my face to the window, watched the ground slide away, colored pictures I planned to show relatives I barely knew. My mom smiled a lot, but if I'm honest, there was something tired behind it. Not sleepy tired. Something deeper. I noticed her touch her chest once, then twice, but when I asked, she brushed it off. "Travel stress," she said. "Grown-up stuff." I let it go because kids trust the people they love even when something feels off. About 2 hours into the flight, the air changed. You know how you can feel tension before you understand it? That's what it was like. My mom's breathing shifted. Shorter, heavier. She tried to stand, then sat back down, her face pale in a way I'd never seen before. She said she needed a minute. I remember thinking that minute felt too long. Then she collapsed. No warning, no drama build-up. Just one moment upright, the next slumped against the window, gasping like the air had turned against her. My brain froze. Then everything exploded at once. Fear, noise, my voice screaming her name, screaming for help. Adults turned. A flight attendant rushed over. Buttons were pressed. Someone said, "Medical emergency." I held my mom's hand and begged her to look at me, to stay awake, to please just breathe. People stared. Some leaned forward. Others leaned back. That's when I learned how uncomfortable fear makes people, how quickly curiosity turns into distance. Across the aisle sat a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a glossy magazine. Perfect hair, sharp clothes, expensive everything. She sighed loudly, like the sound itself was meant to push the problem away. When the crew asked for space to help my mom, she didn't move. She crossed her arms and said she paid for her seat. Her voice wasn't loud at first, just cold. Then she looked at me. She said my mom shouldn't have flown in this section if she was going to cause trouble. Said there were standards. Said some people didn't belong here. She didn't say race out loud. She didn't have to. The meaning was clear enough to cut. I didn't know big words back then, but I knew when someone was trying to make me feel small. I felt it burn in my chest, mixing with fear until it turned into something else. Anger. Not wild anger. Focused anger. The kind that makes your hands shake but your voice come out stronger than you expect. I told her we paid for our seats. I told her my mom was sick, not inconvenient. I told her she was being cruel. Tears were running down my face, but I didn't stop talking. Around us, adults murmured. Someone shook their head. Someone whispered that she was out of line, but nobody stood up. Nobody told her to shut it down completely. Silence filled the gaps where courage should have been. The crew did everything they could, but they weren't doctors. Minutes stretched. My mom drifted in and out, her grip on my hand, weak but still there. An announcement went out asking for medical professionals. No one came. My heart felt like it was breaking in slow motion. Then someone finally ran up from the back of the plane. A woman, exhausted but alert eyes, sharp movements, quick. A cardiologist. She didn't ask permission. She didn't hesitate. She knelt beside my mom and started working like the rest of the world had faded out. Watching her was like watching order return to chaos. The woman across the aisle questioned her credentials, out loud, with that same dismissive tone. The doctor didn't even look at her, not once. She focused on my mom, checked pulses, gave instructions, adjusted positions. When she asked for more space to work and the woman still refused to move, the doctor finally spoke to her. "Then stay there and be quiet." 4 words. Calm. Final. The kind of calm that only comes from knowing exactly who you are. For the first time, the woman had nothing to say. Her power evaporated in the presence of someone who didn't recognize it. Even with the doctor's help, things were bad. Really bad. The crew talked about diverting the flight, but the timeline didn't make sense. The doctor said my mom didn't have that long. I remember feeling the adults argue around me, policies, procedures, schedules, like my mom's life was just another variable to calculate. I felt invisible. Again, that's when I remembered my dad. Before he'd left on a business trip, he'd knelt down, held my face, and told me if anything ever happened, I should call him. No matter what. He promised he would take care of it. At the time, it sounded like a grown-up promise you don't fully understand. Standing there on that plane, it sounded like hope. I grabbed my mom's phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I knew the passcode. My birthday. The screen unlocked. I found his name and pressed call. When he answered, I lost it. Words poured out messy, broken, desperate. I told him my mom was dying, that no one was landing fast enough, that someone said we didn't belong, that I was scared. Really scared. His voice changed instantly. Not panic. Focus. He asked for the flight number, told me to stay on the line, told me I did the right thing, told me to hold my mom's hand and talk to her. He said he was handling it. I didn't know how. I didn't care. I just wanted to believe him. A few minutes later, the plane turned. Not gently, not gradually. It banked hard enough that people gasped. Phones came out. Confusion spread. The captain's voice came over the speakers tense-controlled, saying we were making an immediate emergency landing at the nearest airport. Not the one planned. Closer. The woman across the aisle exploded, yelling about inconvenience, about how unacceptable this was. But no one was listening anymore. Even her husband finally told her to stop. The room felt different, like something had shifted underneath all of us. I leaned close to my mom and told her Daddy was keeping his promise. The doctor kept working steady and relentless. My mom's pulse strengthened just enough to hold on. When the wheels finally hit the ground, paramedics were already there. Doors opened. My mom was rushed off. Everything blurred after that. She survived. Recovery was long, painful, humbling, but she lived. And I grew up carrying that day with me, not just the fear, but the lesson. Silence protects cruelty. Speaking up disrupts it. Power isn't always loud, and it doesn't always wear expensive clothes. That woman probably forgot me the moment she stepped off the plane. I never forgot her. But I also never forgot the doctor who ran when no one else did, the crew member who cried because she cared the moment my voice mattered. So here's my question for you. If you were there, would you have stayed quiet or would you have spoken up? Have you ever seen someone treated like they didn't belong when they absolutely did? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear what you think.